Welcome to Every Horror Movie on Netflix, the show where we watch, review, and discuss every horror movie on Netflix. Back again, it's me, Chris, here with Patrick.
Hello.
Steven.
Hi.
And once again, our very special guest, Sam.
Hello.
And we're back this week with urgency on a very special mission to talk about the very popular thriller Bird Box.
Very, very popular.
Very popular. So popular that that's why we have to be here. Because Netflix says that, like, 2 out of every 3 humans alive has seen this movie.
In 7 days, 45 million people watched at least 70% of it.
Reportedly, the most people who have ever watched in the first 7 days of a Netflix original film.
Well, think about what that would translate to in box office dollars. You know, if the average movie ticket price is what, like $10? That's $450 million in 7 days.
So this gives me a couple thoughts. One thought is, on this episode, we're assuming that you've seen Bird Box, so you know what? Spoilers beware. We're not saving anything.
We're taking the blindfolds off and staring this thing right in the face.
We're taking the blindfolds off. We're not going to the spoiler realm. We're telling you, we're just talking about whatever we want to talk about in this movie. It's going to be a shorter episode than normal, under the assumption that everyone's seen it. The other thing that I want to mention is, we really don't know how many people have seen this movie because Netflix could be full of shit.
This is the first time they've ever released any kind of statistics.
Right. Yeah, I mean, these are the two main questions that come off the bat for me with this whole thing. Is one, is Netflix just bullshitting us? Because obviously there's no way to independently verify this, and they've never released any statistics on anything else before.
Right.
But two, what would be the motivation to pick this particular movie to bullshit the world about?
Right, I'm amazed if it really is as popular as they say, which I believe, because I've had people come up to me and ask, have you seen Bird Box? You know, people who normally don't really care about horror movies. What an unlikely movie to be such a success.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a self-feeding thing. Everyone's watching it because they think everyone else is watching it.
Yeah.
When maybe the truth is nobody's watching it.
But, well, we all watched it.
Yeah.
But why Bird Box? I mean, I guess Sandra Bullock, I didn't think she was that big of a draw.
I mean, that's the key
People
question
loved
here
A
is
Quiet
why.
Place, and it's got kind of the same sort of vibe to it.
Yeah,
Is
and
that?
You know, for some reason, I mean, it's the question of any meme. Why does a meme become a meme, really? I mean, I think meme factor is one of the main things that's feeding this. Like, there are a shitload of Bird Box memes. The Bird Box challenge is now a thing.
Can I tell you my favorite?
What?
My favorite. It's four images, 3 movie posters, and then the Grindr logo. So it's the poster for Hush, poster for A Quiet Place, poster for Bird Box, and the Grindr logo. And it said, can't hear, can't speak, can't see, can't host. Give me a chuckle. Pretty accurate.
That's funny. I've seen some variations on that meme, but that's a good one. That's the best one.
I feel like we may need to explain that one a little bit for some of our older
we'll
listeners.
keep going. If you don't get it,
They don't need to know about Grindr if they don't already.
if they can download, see for themselves if they're curious. But yeah, it's a phenomenon. Bird Box, again, not classified as a horror movie on Netflix, so we're breaking all our rules again,
Which is bizarre.
Totally bizarre. It's a straight up horror movie. If A Quiet Place is horror, this is horror.
Mm-hmm.
A Quiet Place isn't horror, and this is not horror either. In my book, it wasn't scary. No part of it was terrifying.
Do you believe it was trying to be, though?
I think so, and so was the book, but neither of which was scary in any form, shape.
Well, all right, first, roll call. Who among us has read the book? Sam, you've read the book.
Yes.
Have either of you two read the book?
I've read the book, yeah.
I started to, and I found the prose to be very childlike, and I put it down.
Okay, so you have...
So no, I've not read the book.
I haven't read the book at all.
And the book we should make note is by one of our fellow local folks here in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
We're in Ann Arbor right now recording in Michigan, and the guy who wrote the book, Josh Mailerman, is an awesome musician and, in my opinion, an awesome author as well. who lives in Ferndale, which is like 45 minutes down the road from us.
An acquaintance.
I feel bad for insulting his pros because, like, we know this guy. Like, there's so many times I go to Ferndale. I was a huge fan of his band, The High Strung. I've seen them probably a dozen times. You'd actually see him on the street putting up posters for his own band, promoting, and he's done some great shit in the Metro Times, lists of like favorite horror books and stuff. Super cool dude. I couldn't get into the book. Maybe I'll give another shot.
He's very cool, and I loved the book, honestly. I thought, because, the central conceit is, of course, you have to wear a blindfold. You can't look at the thing, and so there are long stretches of the book where characters are blindfolded. I thought he did a phenomenal job of just expressing the horror of the situation through the senses. Like, he made you feel all the other four senses and made you feel the horror of the character's situation. It was a really unique and really innovative book to me. And when I heard they were making a movie, I was like, fuck, how would you replicate that reading experience that I had, which for me, I know not for Sam and Steve, was very potent and very effective. How would you replicate that on screen? And in the end, I don't know that I can say they did a very good job.
It's kind of silly. Whenever I see the characters in blindfold wandering around, I chuckled to myself. It looks ridiculous. Like, I know they're in peril, but it's just funny watching Sandra Bullock try so hard to look like she doesn't know where she's going.
You guys are really putting your finger on what I was thinking the whole time I was watching this movie. First of all, I was saying, all right, this totally makes sense from a book. From a book, you can have the internal monologue of the characters. You can understand kind of how they're navigating the world when they're blindfolded and stuff like that, and what they're hearing and what they're thinking, and that's probably a lot more tangible and compelling than on the screen. And then I was thinking, yeah, like, one of my big problems with this movie is that so much of it was silly just because having someone in a blindfold is just not, it's a strange visual.
It's very difficult to fully convey the horror of having to navigate the world without sight in a visual medium.
Right. It's a visual medium. Perfect. And so I was kind of wishing that they had just kind of embraced that and made a sillier movie, or a movie at least that didn't take itself so seriously through the whole movie. Like, it was such a self-serious movie, and it was just didn't work with the kind of absurd situations that we end up in and some of the absurd visuals.
There's some absurd writing too. The first 15 minutes of this movie felt like an episode of Grey's Anatomy with that super snappy dialogue, the one-liners back and forth between Sarah Paulson, who I love.
Yes.
But also is generally kind of a campy actress and not to be taken too seriously.
The cast is great.
The casting director deserves an Oscar. But it feels like it was made to appeal to every possible audience. Because we've got Machine Gun Kelly, we've got Jackie Weaver, we've got that gay Asian guy.
Machine Gun Kelly's in it?
Yeah, he's the tall, skinny dude with the tattoos.
Oh, okay. I have no idea what Machine Gun Kelly even looks like.
You've got John Malkovich, so your dad can watch it.
We've got
I can watch it. I love John Malkovich.
The TSA guy from Get Out.
TSA guy from Get Out, who will always be TSA.
I didn't recognize him either.
And playing the same character, basically.
Yeah.
I thought casting was shit. And the cast was great, but not for the roles. Like, when I heard Sandra Bullock was playing the main character, I wanted to throw something in the television because in the book, she's 28.
Oh, really?
And Sandra Bullock is fucking not 28. So it made no fucking sense.
How do you think she pulled off the role, though?
Horribly.
Even with that cognitive dissonance of imagining a younger character, because I'm not a Sandra Bullock fan. I love that opening scene where she's just talking to the kids like they're fully grown adults because she doesn't want to be a mom and she's got to do this. I thought it was convincing to me.
Well,
in a way
Mallory
that she's never been.
Mallory is a shit person. The character is not great. I don't like Mallory in the book, and I didn't like Mallory in the movie. I love Sandra Bullock. I think she's a really great actress. I thought this was one of her worst performances.
Whoa. You're not supposed to like the character.
I know. But
do you think that colors how you see the performance? Or you really thought it was a bad performance?
I thought it was a bad performance.
Wow, interesting. There were definitely moments for me where I was like, wow, she has no idea what kind of movie she's in. But I don't know, there were some scene-stealing moments as well.
I thought it was a good performance, but I thought it took a really long time. I thought she was just very cold for a really long time, and her kind of moment of character development and actual change as a person came so late in the movie, which I don't remember happening in the book, but the book is a very distant memory for me at this point, that I just got very tired of her being such a cold and nasty sometimes
She was pretty cold.
Yeah.
In the book.
And I'm not a big fan of Sandra Bullock in the first place, so I did start to sort of like conflate the character and the actor a little too much. And I was like, fuck Sandra Bullock. Fuck Mallory.
I liked it. There were some crazy plot contrivances in this movie as well, and I don't know if they're in the book. Like, what are the odds that another pregnant woman who is due like a month later than Sandra Bullock shows up at the house after they've already established everything?
Well, I thought it was a little crazy. I looked up Sandra Bullock as I was watching this movie. Sandra Bullock is 54 years old.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I mean,
She looks great.
She looks great, but I'm surprised that it's like...
Good for her, still having the fucking star power that she does at her age. That's awesome.
Yeah, but how much of the star power is predicated on her not looking like she's 54 and still getting roles where she's playing a pregnant woman?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, that's what really killed me, because I'm just like, Mallory's pregnant in the book. How are they playing this when Sandra Bullock is as old as she is? Like, that's a dangerous geriatric pregnancy right there.
Well, she looks 44.
Yeah, it was fine.
Okay, can we talk about the most important thing about this character, though? That fucking coat she wears.
Oh,
That coat is fucking wild.
it looks like a bird.
Yeah, it's like
Bird box.
sky blue, fuzzy collar. It is a bizarre looking coat. It just stuck out like a sore thumb to me in every
I
scene.
didn't
I don't
even
think it stuck out
notice
to anyone
it.
else.
I noticed it.
Yeah. Interesting costuming choice.
I texted Patrick while I was watching it. I said, this is a bizarre movie. And what was bizarre for me is that it just alternated so much between the like bottle episode, kind of everyone stuck in the house stuff, and her on the river. And it was hard for me to get fully immersed in either because it was just cutting back and forth all the time.
And seemingly with not very much logic. Like, the beats didn't really match up. And I was thinking, like, pick one or the other, or combine them both and make this a linear film and then jump forward 5 years, which would not be a great film. Like, I would rather just see the present day stuff with the boat and no flashbacks, but be able to, through interactions with other characters, somehow infer what had happened before. I think that'd be a more compelling, more mysterious, more creepy movie.
And even the flashbacks are absolutely saturated in clunky expository dialogue, which, you know, it seems unnecessary.
The book was
frustrating.
the book was exactly like that. So I don't. They might have just taken the cheap route and done what the book had with the flashbacks and how it was laid out.
Was it just like that, where it switched between the river and the house that often? See, I didn't remember that. For some reason, in my memory, the book was almost exclusively about the river.
No.
Huh. Interesting. Because again, I need to revisit the book, because the book was very effective to me, and the movie was not. I don't know.
And we were just talking about Christine and how we all really appreciate that there's no explanation of what Christine is or why she's evil. The worst part of this movie for me is like when 15 minutes into the movie, TSA is like, oh, by the way, there's a demon who comes to wrought its vengeance on the world. And
he's an expert in mythology because he's writing a novel, and like he offers an explanation that ends up being like kind of a non-explanation.
He offers an explanation that seems to be spot on based on everything else we see.
We don't know
from the monster.
We don't know what the monster is.
There were pictures released today online they actually made a monster for the movie, but they didn't show it in the movie, and there are pictures of it, of the top half of it. So Sandra Bullock said it's like a baby head with like a worm body, and I saw the photos of the makeup of the baby head, and it looks fucking terrible. I'm so glad they didn't use it. And somebody made it like a fake like Bird Box action figure, like in a box, like those old Kenner toys, of like the baby head with like a green worm body and what they think it would look like.
Wait, so this was like an abandoned concept? They were going to show this on screen, and they decided not to?
They decided not to show it, yeah.
Oh my God.
Because, I mean, what they do end up showing is also a very poor choice, in my opinion. Like the swirling leaves.
The leaves rustling?
Whenever
the
so monster generic. Appears, I'm like, I don't even need to see that. Like, just show me nothing. Show people freaking out about nothing is scarier than fucking leaves rustling. I mean, that's almost like The Happening level.
Yes. Yeah,
shit.
The Happening.
I didn't understand why it mattered if the monster was nearby, because you're not allowed to take off your blindfold ever, because the presumption
and it can't
is
hurt you if you don't take it
right.
off.
The presumption is it's never safe to take off your blindfold. So if you're never going to take off your blindfold, what does it matter if the monster's near or far? Why do you have to carry around a box of birds to let you know if there's a monster about?
Why is it called Bird Box?
Because it's a cool name. Bird
they
Box
carry
is
around
fucking
the
a
box
sweet
of birds.
name.
Yeah, but it's not that significant.
And this is actually
And
frustrating.
it doesn't like tie into anything thematically either, even the pairing of those words.
Right, that's frustrating me too, because
Or
I
is it
felt
like a Plato's Cave analogy or something? Like,
oh, that's too that's too
deep
that's too
for-
arcane for me, man.
okay.
I don't know who you think you're talking to.
You don't know Plato's Cave?
A smart guy? I didn't even read Bird Box the book, and you think I read Plato?
Dude, Plato's Cave is just like when Luke goes into Yoda's cave.
Okay. But no,
Right.
that's what frustrated me, because
Yeah, basically. It gets more complicated than that, but that's the gist.
much
I'm
like
just explaining it at a Chris level.
I love it. That was cute.
much like Cargo, this was a movie that like seemed to be aspiring to some theme and like would give me a scene here and a scene there, and I couldn't figure out what the hell it was trying to say. Maybe it's my problem. Maybe it's not.
I don't know. Let's get back to some of the ridiculous shit in this movie that I couldn't quite handle. The scene in the car. So they have to go out and get groceries. TSA
Love
worked
that
at a
scene,
grocery
actually.
store. You like the scene where they're driving in the car?
Loved it. That was my favorite part of the movie.
I admire it, but it's so unrealistic that the sensors in the car could actually guide them. Of course, they're going to bump into stuff, but like that they could actually pull that journey off.
I believed it, and I thought it was clever and a use of technology that I hadn't seen in a movie before, and I liked it.
I thought it was. I also thought it was fine. I thought it was clever, and I just thought it could have been played out more. I thought it could have been scarier.
It wasn't as tense as I
more
thought it could
thrilling.
be.
No,
More
and that's
intense.
also why I liked it. Like I said, I thought maybe this movie could have benefit from being a little more tongue-in-cheek with the whole concept, and that's the part where, like, they run over a corpse in the street, and everyone knows it's a corpse, and the guy's like,
It's a speed
it's a
bump."
speed bump. Don't worry.
This movie, okay,
Ooh, that was gruesome.
We just talked about Christine. I wish this movie had that kind of subtle sense of knowing and humor. That this is totally ridiculous.
Right.
We're gonna scare you most of the time, but we're also gonna give you a few chuckles.
See, I don't want that. The book didn't have that tone. I don't think it needs to have that.
I'm just saying, for what we have here, like with this cast and that script, I feel like the director needed to inject a little bit more playfulness into it.
I don't care if the tone is different than the book, because, like we've all agreed, the book doesn't lend itself to a visual adaptation. So that was their first folly, was trying to make a movie adaptation of the book. And if they had to, then at least do something with the movie to make it.
But don't turn it into a joke. I don't want it to be a joke.
Nah.
I don't have your same penchant for like everything being a joke. I mean, you love,
just saying,
as
okay.
you always say, ridiculous concepts played straight.
Right.
I don't have the same craving for humor in my horror that
well,
you do.
know what? The reason I was drawn into, like, you know, writing comedic things at a young age and stuff like that is because comedy is kind of safe. If you're laughing at yourself, you're not really putting yourself out there, and you're kind of immune to criticism if you're not taking yourself seriously. But what comes with Bird Box is, if you're taking yourself super seriously, like this movie does, you gotta pull it off. Otherwise, you're making something people are going to be laughing at instead of with you.
Absolutely.
And it definitely verges on that territory, or verges into that territory at times. I'm just talking about, like, with what we have, with the cast, with the script, I feel like the direction is at times too self-serious. Like, one example is Machine Gun Kelly's character is shot like he's almost shot like he's like going to be the surprise like serial killer in the house. Like, it was making him seem menacing to no end. Nothing ever comes of that. Like, it's like the director just like had no idea where the actual suspense was in this scenario. So she just misplaces it left and right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely multiple sequences, like the car sequence, that fail to capitalize on the potential for tension and horror. I mean, the river scenes, the rapid scene in particular, is the exhibit A for that for me. I mean, because that rapid scene, again, I read the book, I think, shortly after it came out, which now is probably 5 years ago, maybe more. But I don't remember a lot from the book, but I remember that rapid scene. Like, that stuck with me. It was tense, and it was like, holy fuck, that would be horrifying and scary. And the rapid scene, like, they build up to it a lot in the movie. You know, we're going down a rapids with blindfolds, and it's over shockingly quickly. And even the like kind of gripping developments in that sequence, like her losing the kids in the fucking water, are not handled with a lot of gravitas or tension, and they're resolved surprisingly quickly. Like that's sort of the centerpiece sequence of the film, and it's over super quick, and you don't really feel a lot, or at least I didn't while it was going on.
Well, the scene not early on, but earlier in their journey, where they encounter the believer while they're on the river, and
the guy in the truck.
To get them. No, the guy who's like standing in the water, who has like seen the creature, and he's one of the crazy believers. There's some tension in the act of Sandra Bullock trying to like chop at him with her hatchet or whatever she has, but then he just like yells some ridiculous line like. It felt like she was interacting with an NPC in a video game. Like I actually like laughed out loud. Do you remember what he said? Like what he shouted before he died at them? Like
it's just the same. You've got to see to
believe, or something like that. And it just felt like
it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
something like that.
It was absurd. It didn't feel natural at all, and it certainly wasn't threatening.
Yeah, it was way more tense in the book.
I believe
that scene was way more tense.
Yeah, it's just like poorly directed, poorly acted. The movie looks beautiful. The cinematography is great, especially the stuff on the river. I was really impressed. Even when I could tell it was CG, it still looked really good.
Yeah, I'm surprised Netflix didn't crop it to 16:9. No, I agree. The rapid stuff was very frustrating for me because that's obviously the climax of the movie. Up to that point, we've seen characters getting killed for minor transgressions. Like if you fuck up in this world a little bit, you die. And we come to the rapids, and she's like, you know what, YOLO, we're just gonna go over these rapids blindfolded, even though that should kill us. But it's fine, it works out. Even when the kids get swept overboard, it's fine, it works out. They even manage to hold on to their little box of birds, and it survives. And it's like,
I will say I like the drama about who has to look. Like, that whole thing was...
But I also wasn't convinced that peeking would kill you.
Me either. Like, with the car, a little slit, something,
Seems
and
like
then if you see something coming toward you, look away.
That would have made sense if the birds
blinds,
had saved her.
put up some fucking blinds so you can drop them when the thing comes there.
But we're probably pissing everybody off. We're probably everyone's tuned out.
How does this house not have any blinds in it? That's my question. They have to put newspaper up over every window?
It was
Seriously?
Postmodern house.
These rich people don't have blinds.
No.
They can't afford Venetian blinds.
No.
Oh, for shame.
The house was being renovated. That's another thing, because there's a few of those things, and I thought they were trying to say something thematically. And I'd be interested in knowing what the themes were in the book, because there's these lines where, the guy's building his house, and, what's it matter to you if he's building his house? It's his house. And he's like, well, I'm the one who has to look at it. And then when they walk in on Machine Gun Kelly banging the girl,
that was kind of a hot scene.
He's like, the other character's like, some things you can't unsee and stuff. And they're playing with this. And I'm like, are they trying to say something about the power of visual?
I thought that too, but no.
Is it just there for jokes? Is it just there for like, I see what they did with that line? I don't know.
I see what they did with that line.
I don't know. Couldn't really get my finger on it.
I don't think the scene in the pantry was in the book. So I don't know that was for.
Wait, what was in the pantry?
Oh, sorry, the laundry room or whatever.
Oh, the sex.
There are two scenes of women doing gratuitous yoga poses in this movie. Both the girl that gets fucked by Machine Gun Kelly and Sandra Bullock, granted she is about to give birth, they both do something I've never seen somebody do in real life, where they grab the kitchen counter and like lean back and stretch their back out. And in the case of the girl who gets fucked by Machine Gun Kelly, he sees that and thinks that she's like positioning herself for him. I thought, that's ridiculous. Why are we just watching a scene of her doing yoga in the kitchen?
And like he's there, and she like looks
I don't remember
over
that at all, but that stretch sounds great. I want to go do it right now.
I kind of did too, but then Sandra Bullock does the exact same thing like 20 minutes later.
Well, we're pissing everyone off because most people seem to really like this movie. So what are some things we liked about this movie? I don't even know if they do.
I mean, I feel like...
It's just mass hysteria.
Certainly the critical consensus has been pretty mad, and I don't even... It may just be mass hysteria.
I suspect that general audiences are used to watching complete dog shit. And compared to every other horror movie on Netflix, this movie has a shit ton going for it.
I'll say I had a lot of fun with this movie. I did watch it in 2 chunks because it is quite long. I mean, not
It's
super
full
long.
2 hours.
It's a full 2 hours, yeah, and it really does feel like 2 separate movies too that are intertwined, even with different tones. But I enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, there were moments where I laughed at the camp value and the misguidedness of it. I think Patrick perfectly articulated why this should not be a film. It's just not suited to the visual medium at all. But there were some tense moments. I enjoyed the casting. I mean, John Malkovich is, no pun intended, being John Malkovich in this movie. And it's fun to watch.
And I think he had the most developed character.
He did. He really steals the show.
Yeah.
During that whole half of the movie.
So let me read you guys something. I'm not going to reveal what I thought about this. I read this yesterday, and I'm just going to read this. This is from the New Yorker's review of this movie, which is titled something along the lines of An Apocalypse Made for Netflix.
Ooh, we're getting highbrow now.
Couple quick sentences here. Netflix notoriously doesn't, in general, report viewership numbers, yet it couldn't resist crowing. There's another good bird pun for you
That's
guys.
great.
It couldn't resist crowing that more than 45 million subscribers watched Bird Box in its first week online. How would it have done in a traditional wide theatrical release? Would it have taken in $400 million at the box office in its first week alone? I suspect that its viewership depends upon its low barrier to entry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thoughts? Yeah?
Yeah.
It's something. Sandra Bullock, she's got a blindfold on. It's called Bird Box. You maybe have heard of the book. It's horror. You click on it, and you're absorbed immediately if you like dog shit.
Sandra Bullock elevates the prestige of a movie, I guess.
Which is
Deservedly or not.
bizarre to me.
She's supposedly like the highest paid actress right now.
Yep.
See, the New Yorker thing pissed me off because it reeked of elitism to me. It was
I don't think so. I thought the exact... So when I was talking earlier, like, it would have made $450 million at the box office if you look at average ticket sales, at least in the U.S., would people actually go out to the theater to see this thing based on the trailer? No. They're sitting at home on Netflix, wondering what to watch. They've heard about this. It pops up. Why not watch it?
I mean,
I don't know.
The stakes are super low. The stakes are low.
You've already paid for it.
Right. It's somewhat free.
And people watched 70% of it, and then what? Turned it off?
Right.
Well, that's
Fell asleep.
I feel like that's got to be an average.
Yeah,
but even still, it means like most people watched at least half of it.
I have a more interesting question, I think, which is, if this movie were released theatrically and you saw it in a theater, would you raise an eyebrow? Would it seem like a theatrical movie?
No. I don't think so. I thought about that a lot while watching this.
Wait,
and
what do you
I did
mean
the
by
same
that question?
thing.
What does that mean?
I'm trying to think, like, watching this movie in a theater. Can I picture myself seeing this movie in a theater?
In what
Does it
way? Like, can you picture yourself wanting to go see it?
No,
or-
just
No,
like the
it
movie
as
itself.
a movie on a big screen.
Oh, absolutely. I've seen... This movie is absolutely theater quality. I've seen a million movies shittier than this in the theater. There is a lot of shit that is worse than
I
that.
can see it, but I feel like it would play even worse in a theater. Like, I feel like I would hate it even more. Not only for having paid for it, but I feel like I'd be even less satisfied because as images on a screen, it just really isn't all that satisfying. It doesn't have the panache of a big Hollywood movie.
Yeah, there's not a lot of those like tension points that you expect in like a traditional horror film, and so not satisfying for me at all.
Well, actually, I'm not sure I explained. Netflix has this categorized as a thriller.
Oh, wow. It's definitely not a thrill a minute.
Cam is also a thriller, but that's distinct from their horror category, although there is significant overlap. Many of the horror movies we've watched are classified also as thrillers.
Yeah, which this is odd to me because I thought Netflix just kind of listed a lot of different genres for every movie so that they could have a lot of different movies in each genre.
Yeah.
And I'm very surprised that some of these movies aren't even classified in horror, which would seem like a pretty obvious genre to throw Cam and or Bird Box in.
Right.
Let me pose another question. So this was made by a woman director who's been around for a while. I think she's Danish, maybe?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
Or Dutch? I can't remember which.
I'm pretty sure you were right the first time, Danish.
Okay, so she's made quite a few films. In the U.S., she's seen as an art house director, but abroad, she's very acclaimed. Her U.S. films have all been misfires. She did that, like, Things We Lost in the Fire with Halle Berry, and like a lot of stuff that's just kind of bombed. This is a huge...
Like Verhoeven.
deal for her. Yeah, like Verhoeven. This is a huge deal for her. What does this mean if she wants to make a Hollywood movie for a theatrical release? She's made a movie that allegedly has 45 million, well, probably, at least 50% more than that, if not double now, on Netflix. What does this mean for her career? Can she really use this as leverage, as she should be able to work for a higher rate on her next film?
I would think so.
I would think so.
I think it's a meal ticket.
But it's the first time Netflix has ever released statistics, and we know that they don't translate to how a film would perform at the traditional box office. This movie might not even really give her the jump she needs unless she keeps working for Netflix, in which case there's no competition, so she doesn't have any leverage. She can't say, Warner Brothers would pay me more to make a film for them.
That's all going to change. And I mean, that's even changing now with, Hulu and Amazon Prime having their own original stuff and the kind of arms race that's going on right now in streaming.
There are some Netflix movies that are released in theaters.
It is true that they're, especially for Oscar consideration, they're releasing films for like a week or two in select cities. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I just worry because this is I didn't like the film, but I think it's cool that like the biggest movie in the world right now is made by a badass woman, and I want her to get paid what she deserves. And I just don't think this is kind of unprecedented. I guess is what I'm saying.
I guess I'm not understanding your concern that she wouldn't get paid what she deserves.
Because you can't compare, like if she were to work for a major studio and make a theatrical film, the statistics from Netflix mean nothing because, again, there's that low barrier to access. It doesn't necessarily mean that, like, it's kind of impossible to prove how valuable this film is.
So you think Warner's might, like, pass on her because they're all like, 45 million views, but fuck it because it was Netflix. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And I don't think the views have that much to do with it. I mean, it's a popular film, and actually not a profitable film. Probably someone at like Warner's could go, "Oh, we could turn this woman into a lot more money than Netflix is," because Netflix is not making profit specifically off those 45 million.
Well, who knows how much money they have? But I raised this concern because I read an article in the Hollywood Reporter that asked a similar question, which is like, what does this mean to her? So, like, even industry insiders are like kind of at least concerned about the impact this might have on one's career, or lack of impact, I should say. They might just, like Mike Flanagan, get stuck with Netflix, and I don't know, I assume he gets paid well, but there's nobody else really vying for him right now.
I mean, I don't know why we're assuming that that's them getting stuck. I think someone like Flanagan getting a deal to make a lot of films that seem to be, I mean, Hill House certainly seems like his creative vision, not really watered down, And I'm sure someone like him values the opportunity to get that deal and to make a bunch of movies. I mean, Adam Sandler is signing up with fucking Netflix. Mm-hmm. And Adam Sandler, for all the fucking bullshit that he turns out, can do whatever he wants. So it's obviously
I don't think in Hollywood.
Lucrative
that makes
for
you wonder,
these people
like,
to do this.
That makes you wonder if artists are like taking a pay cut for creative control, because we don't know how much they're making with Netflix.
No, but I just don't think you would see this influx of, we could rattle off the number of different, Ryan Murphy. There's an extremely successful person who could do whatever the fuck he wants.
Coen Brothers are on Netflix now.
Yeah, I guess you're
what's his face?
Cuarón.
Yeah, that guy. He's on Netflix now. I mean, it's a revolving door, it seems, between the theatrical world and the Netflix world. I don't know what it all means. I'm curious,
I think I would suspect that a Netflix deal is a great deal for...
Probably.
Pretty much anybody.
Probably, but I'd like to know how a woman director fits into that. I'd love to know. I wish they released more statistics, and I'd like to find out if her movie's way bigger than Roma. Did she get paid more or less than Alfonso Cuarón?
Oh, she got paid way less. But I'm very interested.
God damn it! I assume so, but it's depressing.
I'm very interested in the business model, and at what point does this movie become a Netflix movie?
What do you mean?
Is it like, is being launched as a Netflix exclusive at some point a vote of no confidence by somebody that it won't make it in a theater? I'm sure whoever optioned the movie rights from the book thought this would work in a theater, maybe.
Yeah.
And then when Sandra Bullock signed on and became a producer, maybe they're still thinking movie theater. And then at what point are they like, this is going to Netflix? That's what interests me.
I'm sure we could find out.
Can we talk about the ending of this movie for a minute?
Oh, absolutely.
How fucking cringy. It's like revealed as if it's like this big twist and it means nothing. The beacon they've been getting, the sort of safe harbor they've been going to, is a fucking institution for the blind, and it's treated as if it's like this M. Night Shyamalan twist, but nothing changes except they're safe.
Super clever. It wasn't that clever. It's
No.
like, okay. All right.
It's like, oh, we're finally safe, and also like
Give me some Cargo vibes.
yeah, me too. It was so corny, and it didn't mean anything. Like thematically or otherwise. It's like, okay, they're safe. I don't care if these people are blind or not. They're in the safe haven. It's not like there's a lot of interaction. And Dr. Lapham is there.
Mm-hmm.
And you were there. And you were there. And you were there.
And it was really hard for me to track I think Patrick kind of alluded to this. It was really hard for me to track the character evolution of Sandra Bullock in this movie and like why she decided to stop calling her kids boy and girl, other than that she had that one conversation with her dude who was like, hey, you should love your kids more. I don't know. None of it seemed natural.
I don't know. And she names the boy after him, right?
Which is all fine, I guess.
It's all fine, but it's just like I don't know. It's a non-ending.
I don't know. Things didn't add
They're just
up.
in a different place.
I watched this
movie should be called A Different Place.
I watched this movie with friend of the pod, Gregory Allen, and he was disappointed that the girl ended up being named Olympia because he was like, she should have been named Ella or Cinderella.
Oh!
Yeah, and I was like, good one, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
So, Greg, if you're listening, good job.
Yeah.
Well, going back to the ending, I actually didn't remember this, but my coworker who read the book as well reminded me about the ending in the book was actually way darker.
Oh, do tell.
That it wasn't an institution for the blind. It was a place where they were intentionally cutting out their eyes.
Oh, right. Right.
So that's way darker. And I just felt like the way they did it in the movie was just like so cushy and like happy and awful. And the birds were not necessary in the book.
Yeah, because in the
ending.
In the end of the book, they kind of reassure Mallory and the kids that it's not mandatory to do that. Because I think Mallory resolves that they're not going to willfully blind themselves, that they're going to keep their eyes. And whatever the dude's name is that runs the
Rick.
colony. Yeah, Rick says, that's fine. You don't have to.
Is there more time spent in the colony in the book? Because I feel like this was like 5 minutes and we're done.
Not that much. Because they basically land there and discover a little bit more than the movie.
Again, though, I was just
the movie just seems so eager to end at that point.
Yeah,
I was super frustrated trying to fish a theme out of here, and like maybe the book was more
I like that
successful.
metaphor because we're on the river for so much of the movie.
Pull a theme out,
fishing for a theme.
Like I thought I was talking about like images and like because even they show us that you can see the monster on a TV and they'll still get you. And then they invite the creepo Jordan Peterson guy into the house. So he's got this like...
Oh my god. 2 weeks ago I would not have gotten that reference. That is spot on.
Yeah, he's
I love that whole thing too. That scene where he's just like manically like pulling on all of his pictures and starting to draw and getting really excited about the music.
And so
That's a good sequence.
There's a suggestion that maybe those images he pulls out of his folio have some kind of power or something.
Well, they're images of what he believed the creature looked like.
And so we're talking about these things and the power of images and can you unsee things and all this stuff. And I'm thinking maybe we're talking about something here. There's a loneliness theme. I'm thinking maybe we're talking about the things we see maybe in the media and how they create us a lonely society
none of it means or adds up to anything. It's just a hodgepodge of themes. Like I was really thinking for a while maybe this movie's about grief or missed opportunity. No, it's nothing. It's just throwing seemingly meaningful images and bits of dialogue at you, and mathematically they don't add.
I'm uncomfortable making that judgment because someone smarter than me once said, the first time you watch a movie is a flirt, the second time is a date. So I feel like it's hard to evaluate whether or not a movie has themes on your first viewing.
That's true.
But
did I say that?
No, it's someone famous.
I'm just joking.
I don't know. But yeah, but things I liked, I mean, some of the stuff in the house was very good. like the plot line we just talked about, the stuff with John Malkovich, trip to the store. I liked.
Okay, here's a question, and this is also prompted by my viewing with Greg. When they were in the grocery store, Greg's like, "I'd just stay in the store." Because they were fighting over whether to stay in the store or go back home and grocery.
Oh my god, yeah,
I just stay in the store. Yeah.
No.
You guys
But then
say,
again,
fuck everybody
there are
else.
threats coming from outside, but that's no different from the house. So,
Well, they had people still at the house that they felt responsible for, so I appreciated that.
Yeah.
But I did have the same thought when they came in the store. I was like, everyone should come to the store, but they still had half their party hanging out at their house. I don't know. So one other thing, kind of tangential to the story of Bird Box. Obviously, we're doing this show basically for one reason, and that's because everybody's obsessed with Bird Box right now. And by the time this episode comes out, maybe it will have passed. And I'm thinking of other Netflix
the
phenomena.
flock will have flown.
It seems like
But we're still going to get 45 million streams, God damn it. More than any other episode has gotten in 7 days. And we haven't released any statistics to you listeners
Yeah,
yet,
you
but
won't know.
trust
True.
us, we're going to on this
That's
episode.
true. We are bigger than you think.
No.
But this isn't the first, Netflix phenomenon that's like just boiled over in like a couple weeks or something. I think of like Making a Murderer and stuff. What are some examples of like Netflix things that just like popped up and it was like all anyone cared about and then it was gone?
Queer Eye.
Stranger
No.
Things.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Some of it
but no,
endures.
those are kind of enduring things, though. I mean, those are Queer Eye, Stranger Things, Making a Murderer, all kind of had a decently long shelf life.
That's true.
Yeah, but I feel like this is common, and this kind of goes to one of my aggravations that I always have just about how, the media landscape and how everything is so impermanent.
Well, and Netflix is releasing an original thing, be it a series or a movie, every day, literally.
Yep.
Right. So it's like Bird Box, as of when we record this, is like all the rage. And by the time this episode comes out, maybe no one will give a shit about Bird Box anymore.
I don't know.
I mean,
it's
as
been
we
over a
record
week,
this-
and it's still all over my news feed.
As we record this, I personally would say it's already peaked. It's still big, but I think it's already peaked as we record this.
I agree.
mean, it peaked a week or two ago.
Right. But this is a contrast to, when I was growing up and my relationship with movies and TV, and I've talked to you guys about this before, is, I had my drawer of VHS tapes.
Yeah.
I had my 15 or 20 movies that I was intimate with. And
Oh, you did,
Christ.
Oh no.
and
Tell us more
You
about
went
that.
beyond the green door, didn't you?
And so, I think something is lost when we have this disposable media landscape where even the people who like Bird Box are probably never even going to fucking watch it again. And if there are deeper themes to be discovered, does it even matter because no one's going to give the movie a second viewing?
Because it's not any good.
Well, regardless of if it were good, I mean...
I'm sure if somebody wanted to watch it over and over again, they could find something in it. There's something there, but I don't think it begs a second viewing.
I don't know
I know
how.
what you mean, though, about that era when you would just have a limited selection and you'd find things in films because you watched them over and over again. I miss that too.
I don't know how much the fact that it's on Netflix really changes anything. I think it's similar to other pop cultural phenomenon where the thing isn't necessarily that good, but it catches on for whatever reason. I mean, I'm thinking of like The Hangover, which is a critically acclaimed movie, but I think is dog shit. I don't know if you guys have seen it or have opinions on it.
I saw it in the
but
theater.
I didn't think it was that funny. I don't think it's a very good movie. But the memes persisted. The meme of the fucking baby carrier, people still like reference that or, do it as a costume or whatever. And I feel like the meme of Bird Box, like the blindfold thing, is probably going to persist.
Probably.
I don't know if it's going to persist as like
I don't think
anyone's
so.
favorite movie.
I'm on some pretty woke Twitter, and
Jeez.
Wait, can you repeat that?
I'm on some pretty woke Twitter. And,
Is that like a drug?
And,
Oh, dude, this Twitter is so woke, man.
and some people are kind of not upset by the Bird Box challenge, like blind people saying like, it's not really cool, like, put on blindness for fashion.
Oh
or as
my
a meme.
god.
So, well, do we have anything else to say about Bird Box?
A lot, but we said it was going to be a half hour. We've
exceeded our
packed a
quota.
lot of information into this
Any
episode,
final thoughts? I guess there's only one thing left to do, which we haven't done yet.
which is
Go to the spoiler room?
no. We're going to spin the wheel of death.
No, we have to review Bird Box.
There's 2 things left to do.
All right, Chris, what do you think?
This might surprise you. I will give it a Q it. we've made our grievances known, but I thought it was a hell of a lot more competently made than most of what we watch. I definitely understand some of its appeal. Had some really good acting, had some really good sequences, had some good moments. Could have been a lot better. Maybe it shouldn't have never been made, but cute.
All right.
I'm going to second that pretty much entirely. So cue it. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm just going to move things along. Steven?
Cue it. Fascinating failure. I had a lot of fun with it. I did get stoned for the second half of it because I knew that it wasn't really going to hold my interest otherwise. It definitely improved the experience.
You watch Bird Box in the hot box.
Did you? Were you on some woke Twitter, bro?
I was on some woke sativa, but yeah, no, it's an interesting phenomenon, and it's not a terrible movie. If it were a first feature, I'd be impressed.
Oh, hell
I'll say
yeah.
that.
Hell yeah.
This woman's made like 10 or 15 movies, though, so whatever. Sam, what did you think?
I'm going to go with screw it just because I did not like the book. And I thought that the adaptation to a film was even worse. So, yes, I'm being harsh, but I just can't help it. I didn't enjoy
We like harsh.
I didn't enjoy either format.
Steven
so
likes harsh.
I'm a screw it.
Did you have a favorite part? Was there something that you liked
Of
She
which?
gave it a screw it. Do you think she liked anything about
the
it?
movie?
No.
Okay. Totally fair.
Oh, yes. I liked Tom, the actor who played Tom, because he's sexy.
Trevante Rhodes.
Yes.
Who coming
From
off
Moonlight.
Yep.
Yep.
From Moonlight.
Yeah.
Butt
Yeah,
muscles, very
Sexy
beautiful.
motherfucker.
Yes. Okay, that's the only thing I liked about it.
Great actor.
Ooh, and I like Machine Gun Kelly too. Some of those tall, lanky, tatted guys.
I wasn't quite sure.
No,
of
not your style. Okay,
I like short, pale men.
I didn't recognize.
But you like Trevante Rhodes.
Eh.
short, pale,
Does
men,
not compute.
tall, dark men.
I didn't recognize
All
Trevante Rhodes.
You can look at one and marry the other. So
Oh, this is getting too sweet.
I didn't recognize Trevante Rhodes, and then he started having some one-on-one scenes with Sandra Bullock, and he was definitely holding his own in the acting department. And I was like, who is this guy? And I looked him up. I'm like, oh, he's the guy from Moonlight.
I never saw Moonlight.
Oh. Well, it's great performances in Moonlight. I wasn't a big fan, but the performances are great. All right, guys, only one thing left to do. It's time to spin the Wheel of Death, because I don't know what the hell we're watching next time. Are you guys ready to spin?
I'm ready.
spin
Should
it.
we
Let it
explain
roll.
the Wheel of Death for
No.
newcomers?
You know,
to this?
every it's supposed to be every like third episode.
It's what you think it is. They're gonna spin the wheel, and then one of us dies. Right?
Yeah.
Oh God, I wish.
One of us will not appear on the next episode. I wonder who it will be.
No, we're gonna spin the wheel. It will pick one of us, and then one of us will pick the next movie instead of sticking to the alphabetical format to which we are all slavishly indebted.
For the most part, we've been kind of loose with it for the last few weeks.
Much to Chris's horror.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's the greatest horror movie on Netflix to
But
Chris.
Steven won last time, the spin. He picked Terrifier. Thanks for that. So he gets to spin the wheel again. So
You guys all wanted to see it too.
so
Come
just
I enjoyed Terrifier.
give her a little
All right.
spin, Steven.
Give her a spin, give her a spin.
We all need to see. Oh, it's going. Oh, please be me. I've never won. Please be me.
Oh my
It's
god!
Patrick!
Yay!
It was almost me.
Well,
Story of my life.
I spoiled my pick before we started watching, but I've been watching all the Friday the 13th movies in order. I'm on number 7, Jason X, which takes place in space. The 10th film is currently on Netflix. I'm going to watch the 8th and 9th, and then you guys are going to watch Jason X with me, and we're all going to talk about Jason in fucking space. Isn't David Cronenberg in this movie?
David Cronenberg is in it, and he
Yeah.
uses nipple clamps on a woman in one scene.
I am fascinated to see this shit. I don't think it's going to be good, but just Jason in space sounds like such a bizarre and misguided and hilarious idea to me. And I want to bring everybody along with me on this fucked up Friday the 13th watching little journey that I've been on.
It's the Halloween resurrection of Jason films.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah.
That bad?
No, it's fun, though.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I scared you.
I was a little scared. More scared than I've been at any Friday the 13th film, I can tell you that.
More scared than you were during Bird Box?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I might watch that one with a blindfold on.
Ooh.
All right.
I can't wait. But
Also, this has been a great episode. I've enjoyed doing this with my blindfold on.
I hope that when I take the blindfold off, it shows that we're recording.
Yeah, me too. Fuck.
But that's all for this week. We'll be back in 2 weeks, kind of on our usual release schedule for Jason X, apparently. So
Here's a good question: is it Jason X or Jason 10?
I don't know. It depends on
Is
if
it
it's
the 10th film?
It is the 10th film. That's why it's called Jason X.
Oh yeah.
Well,
it's Jason
given
10
that I
then.
call it H20, I think I'd have to call it Jason
Yeah.
10.
I mean-
Roman numeral 10.
Which only sensible people would call
All
Halloween
right.
H20.
Well, that's our show. That's our show. Thanks again to Sam for being here.
Thank you, Sam.
You
It's been a
are
delight.
welcome. Yes, delightful.
Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
And that's it. So find us online. You know the drill. Just review us on iTunes or something, please. Until our next episode when we watch Jason X, I'm Chris.
I'm Patrick. Until 4 days from now.
I'm Steven.
And I'm Sam. I won't be here next time.
Probably not.
Enjoy
but
your movie.
I mean, you could be.
You'll be here in spirit.
I will watch it on my own.
Okay. Sounds like a great.
Skype in. Let us know what you think.
That's right. Yeah, we always invite our listeners to follow along on our journey, wherever it may lead.
Right.
All right. See you next time. Goodbye, everybody.